Cedar Grove. Even its name sounded like a whisper. Time seemed to have forgotten this town, leaving it shrouded in a perpetual twilight. The air hung heavy with the scent of decay, and the silence was unnerving. It was the kind of silence that seemed to press against your eardrums, broken only by the occasional creak of a rotting branch or the rustle of unseen creatures in the undergrowth. The buildings in Cedar Grove were just as neglected as the town itself. Paint peeled from their walls like scabs, revealing the rotting wood beneath. Windows stared out blankly, boarded up or shattered, like the eyes of the dead. The streets were empty, save for the occasional stray dog that would slink through the shadows, its ribs visible beneath its matted fur. The few remaining residents of Cedar Grove seemed to blend in with the town's spectral atmosphere. Their eyes were vacant, their faces etched with a weariness that spoke of long-forgotten sorrows. They moved slowly, as if burdened by some invisible weight, and they rarely spoke to outsiders. When they did, their voices were little more than rasping whispers. Cedar Grove was a town that whispered of forgotten dreams and buried secrets. It was a place where the past clung to the present with a death grip, refusing to let go. It was a place where darkness reigned. The people of Cedar Grove were an enigma, a puzzle wrapped in the mist that clung to the town like a second skin. Their faces, weathered and worn like old leather, held a certain stoicism that bordered on apathy. Each line and wrinkle seemed to tell a story of hardship and resilience, yet their expressions remained unreadable. They went about their days with a slow, deliberate pace, their movements as silent and measured as the passage of time itself. It was as if they were in no rush to reach their destinations, content to let the world move around them. Every so often, their eyes, like dull embers in the dying firelight, would flicker towards the old Victorian mansion on the hill. The mansion stood as a silent sentinel, its dark silhouette a constant reminder of something unspoken.
I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The sensation was almost palpable, a prickling at the back of my neck that refused to go away. Every time I ventured out, I would feel invisible eyes on my back, tracking my every move. It was as if the very shadows had come alive, their gaze fixed upon me. The townsfolk, though never overtly hostile, seemed content to observe me from a distance. Their presence was a constant silent reminder that I was an outsider. Their silence was unnerving, their gazes heavy with unspoken words. It was as if they were all in on a secret, one that they were determined to keep from me.
Their interactions when they occurred were brief and clipped. Conversations were rare and always seemed to end abruptly, as if they were afraid of saying too much. They would answer her questions with a curt nod or a mumbled phrase, their voices barely audible. It was as if they were speaking in a code that I was not privy to. They never lingered, always seeming eager to retreat back into the shadows that clung to them like a second skin. The darkness was their refuge, a place where they could hide from prying eyes. It was as if they were afraid to reveal too much, as if their words themselves held some dangerous power. The fear was almost tangible, a living, breathing entity that hung over the town.
I couldn't help but feel that beneath their impassive facades, there was a deep-seated fear. It was a fear that seemed to permeate every aspect of their lives. It lurked in the depths of their eyes, whispered in the silences between their words, and echoed in the empty spaces of their conversations, and hung in the air around them like a shroud. The fog that enveloped the town seemed to be a physical manifestation of their collective anxiety. They knew something. They weren't telling me. The secret they guarded was a heavy burden, one that cast a long shadow over Cedar Grove.
Emily had never been to Cedar Grove, had never even heard of it until her grandmother's passing. The town was a mystery to her, a place that seemed to exist only in the shadows of her family's history. It was a small, desolate town with an eerie feeling that seemed to permeate the very air. The news of her inheritance arrived in a yellowed envelope, the ink faded and the edges frayed. It was an ominous correspondence, one that hinted at secrets long buried and stories left untold. The envelope itself seemed to carry the weight of years gone by, a relic of a time Emily had never known. Inside, a handwritten will stipulated that Emily was now the sole owner of Blackwood Manor, a sprawling Victorian mansion perched atop the highest hill overlooking Cedar Grove. The will was written in a delicate, flowing script, a testament to the care and attention her grandmother had put into every detail. It was as if the very essence of her grandmother's spirit was captured in those words. The manor, a relic of a bygone era, stood as a solitary sentinel against the backdrop of the dreary town. Its Victorian architecture was both grand and foreboding, a stark contrast to the modern world Emily was accustomed to. The house seemed to loom over the town, a constant reminder of the past that refused to be forgotten. Its once vibrant paint was now a patchwork of peeling layers, revealing the bare bones of the structure beneath. The weathered exterior told a story of neglect and time's relentless march. Each crack and crevice seemed to whisper tales of the lives that had once filled its rooms, now long gone. The intricate carvings that adorned its gables and eaves were eroded by time and weather, their once sharp features dulled and softened. These architectural details, though worn, still held a certain beauty, a testament to the craftsmanship of a bygone era. They were like the faded memories of a once glorious past, now struggling to hold on to their former splendor.
As I stepped across the threshold, a musty odor, thick with the scent of decay and forgotten memories, washed over me. The interior of the house was a stark contrast to its grand exterior. It was a place where time seemed to have stood still, where the past lingered in every corner and crevice. Dust motes danced in the faint slivers of light that pierced through the boarded-up windows. The light was weak, almost hesitant, as if it too was afraid to disturb the silence that enveloped the house. The atmosphere was eerie, a palpable sense of history and mystery that seemed to hang in the air. The air felt heavy, stagnant, as if the house itself was holding its breath. It was a silence that spoke volumes, a dark, oppressive silence that seemed to echo with the whispers of the past. Every step I took felt like an intrusion, a disruption of the delicate balance that had been maintained for so long.
Despite its state of disrepair, Blackwood Manor exuded a strange allure. It was a place that seemed to exist outside of time, a relic of a world that had long since passed. The overcast skies and dead trees that surrounded it only added to its mystique, creating a scene that was both haunting and beautiful. It was in the intricate details of its architecture, in the faded grandeur of its high ceilings and sweeping staircases, that the true beauty of the manor was revealed. Each element told a story, a piece of the puzzle that was Blackwood Manor. The house was a living, breathing entity, a testament to the lives that had been lived within its walls, in the silent stories whispered by the portraits that lined the walls. These portraits, with their dark, piercing eyes, seemed to follow Emily as she moved through the house. They were silent witnesses to the history of the manor, each one holding a piece of the story that Emily was now a part of. It was a house with a past that Emily, with a mix of trepidation and morbid curiosity, felt inexplicably drawn to uncover. She knew that the answers she sought were hidden within the walls of Blackwood Manor, waiting to be discovered. And so, with a deep breath and a determined heart, Emily stepped further into the darkness, ready to face whatever secrets the house held. The first night at Blackwood Manor was a symphony of unsettling sounds. The air was thick with an eerie ambience, as if the very walls were alive with secrets waiting to be uncovered. The wind howled outside, rattling the old windows in their frames like skeletal fingers trying to break free. Each gust seemed to carry with it a whisper, a faint voice that sent shivers down Emily's spine. Floorboards groaned underfoot, protesting every step Emily took, their complaints echoing through the empty halls. It was as if the house was aware of her presence, each creak a reminder that she was an intruder in its ancient domain. It was as though the house itself was stirring from a long slumber, its every creak and groan a whispered warning. The dark corners seemed to hold their breath, waiting for something or someone to emerge.
As darkness fell, shadows stretched and deepened, playing tricks on my tired mind. The dimly lit hallways seemed to stretch on forever, each turn revealing more darkness, more uncertainty. The faded wallpaper patterns morphed into grotesque faces, their expressions shifting between mocking grins and silent screams. It was as if the walls themselves were alive, watching and waiting. Every flicker of light and shadow seemed pregnant with the suggestion of movement, making my heart pound in my chest. The candlelight cast eerie shadows that danced on the walls, creating a sinister ballet of light and dark.
Sleep offered little respite. Emily was plagued by vivid nightmares, filled with faceless entities and chilling whispers that seemed to originate from the very walls themselves. Each night, the dreams grew more intense, more real. She would wake in a cold sweat, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs, the echoes of the whispers still lingering in her ears. The line between dream and reality blurred, leaving her in a constant state of unease. As days turned into nights, the line between reality and hallucination blurred. The mansion's eerie presence seemed to seep into her very soul, making her question her own sanity. Emily couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, that she was not alone in the sprawling emptiness of the mansion. Every creak, every whisper seemed to confirm her fears. A constant tension coiled in her stomach, a primal fear that something was lurking just beyond the periphery of her vision, waiting for the opportune moment to reveal itself. The mansion's oppressive atmosphere weighed heavily on her, making each day a struggle to maintain her grip on reality.